Let's learn how to work with an array list. An array list is similar to an array, except that when you use an array, you give it the size, and that size remains fixed. Whereas with an array list, you don't have to give it a size right away. In fact, the purpose of using an array list is when you don't really know the size. And so it becomes what we call an accordion array, where it can shrink and grow as you need to add items or remove items. So let's go ahead and create a brand new project, and we'll just call this project ArrayList string add. Yes, big long name. I'll click finish. It takes me into my source code, and I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and create an array list. Now remember, when you worked with an array, the first thing you did was you specified the data type. When working with an array list, the first thing you do is actually specify the name ArrayList. Then you actually specify the data type, and it's enclosed inside of a less than sign and a greater than sign. Then you specify the name of the variable that will hold the array list, and then we need to actually create the array list. You do that by saying new array list less than greater than, and then we have to call a constructor. And remember, calling a constructor or a method is usually done when you see a parentheses. That statement now says we're going to create an array list called ALTeams of type string by calling the array list constructor. I can click on this little symbol here, click on the import, and that resolves that problem. Now that I have my array list, I can start working with it like the accordion. Since the array list is an object, it has methods. I can type in the variable name, press period, and up pops the methods. One of the methods is called add. Add allows me to add an item to the array list. This would say, take the name BYU, resize the array list, or in other words, add an element to the array list, and put the value of BYU in it. This works because we said we're going to create an array list of strings. I could do another one, ALTeams.add WSU. This now says add another element at the end of the array list. In other words, this is in position 0. This now goes into position 1. Doing it again now says we have 3 items in our array list, BYU in 0, WSU in 1, and USU in the second position. If I wanted to access the items in an array list, you simply use another method, and it's called get. I could use a for loop, or I could just do them one by one. I could say ALTeams.get, and then you specify the position of the item you want to access. If I put get parentheses 0 parentheses, that will print off BYU. ALTeams.get 1 parentheses will print off WSU. Or I could actually create a for loop. I'll set up a variable inside that for loop and say as long as that counter is less than the array list dot. Now remember, when you worked with an array, the attribute for the array was length. When working with an array list, the attribute that tells you how big it is called size. So this says as long as the counter is less than the size of the array list, go do something. And what I want to do is print off the array list get, and then you specify some variable or some numerical value. If I use iCount, it will start at 0, then be incremented to 1, incremented to 2. Once it's incremented to 3, it'll say 3 is no longer less than the size of the array list, and it will get out of the system. Let's run this and see if it works. And this is when we loaded the data, and then we printed off the position 0, the position 1, and then we ran it to the for loop and said print off 0, 1, and 2. So the nice thing about the array list is that we can dynamically grow that array list.